Hello there, Sniper's TZ7 here, and I'd like to welcome everyone and just start this podcast session by explaining a little bit about what I'm doing here. So as you can see, if we go to video game section of ModDB, you can see that we haven't updated in 2 months. And that's not because we're not working. I mean, believe me, I am working, but between work, school, because I do go to school, and then training, because I do train for sports. I play competitive sports. I do work on this a lot. I mean, you can even ask my parents. My parents always bother me, like, get off the computer, why are you always on the computer, what are you doing, stuff like that. And they just don't understand that this takes a lot of work, and some of you guys don't understand that you can't just produce a game in like 2 months, like just come out with an alpha, be like, yeah, this game's like gonna be good. You just have to put time and effort into it. You guys have to be patient. I mean, you guys have been really patient, and I've got some good news for you guys. That recently probably hated my guts after a decision I made, but yeah. So you guys got to be patient. I am working, but none of our work is showable. Most of it's code, and other stuff which I will discuss in this podcast, but basically, it starts a podcast series just to update you guys on either the company or, the game itself. So, yeah, I'd like to welcome you guys, and, yep, so let's move on. So, I'm going to start this podcast off with the main attraction of Alpha Team 6 right now. What's booming is our Lightning engine. Of course, you guys know, custom engine. I'm developing Lightning engine. Been doing a lot of research. You guys don't even know. Sometimes I just go on Google and just Google for hours, just articles on game development, see how real game developers code stuff, how they do it, methods to make it efficient, stuff like that. So, as you can see, Lightning engine, obviously now you guys know, but it now supports officially .object, .dae, .ply, .fbx, .ace, and .x file formats. I think 3 of these file formats do support animations, which is very good. Unfortunately, the FBX has temporarily been discontinued due to the complicated format Autodesk has given us to basically translate file format and get it loading OpenGL, or in my engine it is quite a hassle, and when I load it, the loading times are really slow. I mean, I got it to load, but it's just the nature of the file format where you just have to do a bunch of operations to fully convert the file format into data that can be read by the engine, and as a result of that, it was discontinued because it took over, I think, 8 seconds to load a 10,000 polygon file. So, I mean, I'm not gonna risk loading time just for one file format, even though it might be a more recently used file format, may be good. I'm not gonna just go overboard and just go out of my way to make this work. I mean, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to work on it. I mean, it just means temporarily it's been discontinued because there are 2 other file formats on the table that can be used to achieve what I'm going to be achieving, which is the .dae, which is being researched and developed heavily, and .ace, which has already been developed heavily and researched. I think I have the animation system. I have to redo it, but I have it figured out. I know how to do it 100%, but the system, I just like to get it working. I think I got 40% of how I'm gonna do it coded in, so we still have a long way to go, but other than that, I got textures working, normals, what else, obviously the objects load, and .dae I've only figured out, because it's a complicated format, but also good, I've only figured out normals, actual file format, and textures. researching how their sorry, saying I'm a lot, how their animation system works, and it is very good because it's I think it's skeletal animation system, which is what I use, like bones and shit like that. So yeah, so that's um, a bit of an update on our model loading, which I've been working on a lot. The other formats obviously have been the same. I mean, you can't really have animations with dot object X or PLY, so they've just been isolated temporarily. Unfortunately, I mean, I can't really work on it. I'd love to use them because they load really fast, but the reason why they load really fast is because obviously they don't have that much data. You don't have to parse that much info, so it leaves a little less room for you know error and just loading stuff. So that makes loading time faster. But model loading has been optimized over the past few months. I mean, I did say I put it aside, but before I put it aside, I have been optimizing it over time. And the result, well, models now load 3 times faster than before. So I think before it took 1 point, like, I don't know, 6-9 seconds for an dot object file to load. I think it only takes about like less than a second now, which is really good. I mean, if you think about it, you're loading like 30 files and it takes less than a second. It'll should take you to load like should take about, I don't know, like 25 seconds to load everything, which is not that bad if you think about like when games load stuff before missions. Usually it's a really long period of time, or typically around like 30-40 seconds where the user would watch cut screen, so that's perfect. I mean, obviously I'm not going to have just 30 files in a map or in just like a game mode, so obviously I need to step up the optimizing for that, but nonetheless that has been optimized and will continue to be optimized till it meets my needs. So moving on, the SMP file format, for those of you who don't know, I've been talking about it a lot lately, just been throwing that name around. You guys are probably like, what the hell is an SMP file format? Well, the SMP file format stands for single player map format. It's been heavily developed over the years. Most of my research has been dedicated to that. What else can I say? Yeah, again, like I said at the start of the podcast, you guys haven't seen updates because most of it's code and stuff that can't be posted. This is one of them. You can't really post a file format on ModDB. But certain areas or sections that we have developed are the polygon aspect of the file format, object aspect. So we also have the sound, obviously, so like sounds and maps, model aspect, so model loading comes from our engine, and also the entity aspect, which is a very important aspect. Obviously, you can't have a level without entities. So we've developed other aspects and features too, which will be discussed later. I just named a few of the main ones. Moving on to the SMP file format. So, like I discussed, the SMP file format is in a very early and basic stage. It's still sophisticated and very easy to read. I mean, I'll show you guys later. Sorry, I just have to find something. You guys will fucking hell. You guys will see later. Just trying to pull it up on the other screen right now. But this file format's probably, I think, in my opinion, one of the easiest file formats to read. Like, it's literally, you could give to someone that doesn't even know what the fuck a file format is, and they'll be like, oh, okay. Just explain it briefly, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, I get it, just look at it and be like, and they could just pick apart what things go where, which is good, obviously, because you want the user to be able to read the file format, and the developer, so he knows what's happening. But yeah, it's very easy. it's also, to make it easier, it's also ASCII, not binary like most file formats. For those of you who don't know what the hell ASCII is, sorry if if you hear me stop before I swear. I like to swear a lot, but I'm just gonna try and cut back for the video. But anyways, ASCII is basically a text file, so anything that you can open up with like Notepad or Notepad++ and just read it, as opposed to binary where you can't really open up, you can't really see the contents of the files unless the specs are given. And if you try to open up a Notepad or Notepad++, you'll get like all these like weird like black boxes and weird symbols and all that jazz. So I mean, that also helps the user in, you know, their own ways. I mean, I can't really name it off, but it's you get to know what your file format does and what sections you have in your file format, because eventually you're gonna have to, you know, load it, and you're gonna need to know which section has to be loaded for entities, which section contains, I don't know, you know, the objects, stuff like that. So it's very good to know, you know, all that, or have a good file format, an easy readable file format. And I mean, what else can I talk about? I mean, there's so much to it. I'm just trying to, sorry if you trying to open it up so I can show you guys. But I mean, basically, I don't know if you guys know, but basically what happened was, a while ago I backed up my USB, and you'll see later I have a Dropbox with all my programming projects. I put all the important stuff, and then I put my USB because I had to use it, and my other one's broke, so I had one USB I had to bring to school. And so I put everything on one of my partitions, on my Linux partition, and then I was like messing with some stuff. The grub messed up, or the bootloader, and I had to format the partition. Completely forgot that I had my USB content there, but nothing to worry. I mean, all the programming projects are there. The SMP isn't there, which, I mean, is kind of bad, but yep. I'll give you guys a little sample of it, although I don't have it. You know what? One sec. So I'm back, and I have the SMP file format. Took a while to find. Luckily, I had a RAR file of it backed up. So this is, over here you can see it's really easy to read. I opened it Notepad++. Has a name, version, revision. Has sounds, where all the sounds are, all the textures, all the models, then stuff like mesh info, which contains position, mesh ID, if it's collidable, on hit, which is the sound it makes on hit, load model, multi-texture, and actually the file formats. Oh, yeah, it's supposed to be like that. Yep, the texture, entity info, so like ID, player spawn, type, general, position of the entity, the vertex cache, so all the vertexes, all the faces. So that's what we have right now. And yep, so like I said, I also have something else to show you. Text editor has been, don't ignore the name, I changed it and then I changed it back, so I don't know if it's a slide. There we go. So if I hit new, you can see that it shows up. Please note that the font color is temporary. It's just I'm working on syntax highlighting, so I just need to change the font. I can open up files, so city dot map, stuff like that. you could see it shows the name of the file. I could close it, open up another one. I don't know, untitled.ply. You can see it shows everything. PLY format right here. Could save it if I wanted to C file, config header, C++, weapon file, single player map, so SMP, multiplayer map, MMP, which I will not discuss in this podcast later one, and a regular text file. And for opening options, same thing. Yeah, opened it again. Close it. Close it. Still really buggy. But yeah, just quit that, and then what's the other thing I wanted to show? Oh yeah, beta stage of the, show you right now, beta stage of, never mind, that's later. So yeah, so now on to Alpha Team 6. So, you guys, you know, I haven't really announced this. I was going to originally make a ModDB in use post, but I think I'll still make one just for the people that don't watch this podcast. But if you're watching this, you're gonna know this first. I'm basically redesigning everything. So, new name, maybe, new storyline. Already have 90% of it thought out. New gun list. Most of it's gonna be the same. I just might edit some guns out, add some guns. New campaign, obviously. New experience and more fun. So reason I'm doing this, I think I thought of that storyline when I was a noob, and I really thought of an original story. So I'd like to use that, and I might change the name to fit the story, but that is work in progress. And I'll update you guys on that maybe more in the future. And now, EnviroFlow. So, a lot of you are probably like, the fuck is EnviroFlow? So, if we go through my programming projects, we can find EnviroFlow. Is EnviroFlow. So, this is what EnviroFlow is. 1 second. So this is EnviroFlow, like I said in my presentation. Oh snap. It's early stage, basic functions still need to be added, won't be used for this game. Features and future plans. So it is basically a map editor. Well, it's going to be a scene editor. This is going to be the render window. Oh, what did I just do? Fuck. Sorry about that. And I'm just going to go through some of the features. So obviously we have the object window tab. So I don't have anything in here, but it's just going to be like anything object related, and tabs for entities, creating entities and like stuff. Light, textures, environment. There's properties tab. So like properties for the objects. I called it mesh. So the ID. You know, notice how these all relate to mesh info, mesh ID, position, all that jazz. So, you know, you could choose, you know, maybe it's just sand. Sand is collidable on hit, so it's gonna make a sand noise. Load model, only if we need load model. No, it's not going to be multi-texture. You can choose sand.tga. is it breakable, is it jumpable, is a ladder, so ladder. Breakable is like if you shoot at it, will it break? Jumpable is basically, or yeah, jumpable is like if you could jump over it. I think I might add one called climbable, so you could climb up it. So jumpable would be like if you get to a small wall, you could jump over it, stuff like that. And then I have the object list, which is basically when you create an object. So say I create a polygon. I don't have that code in right now because I still have to work out the specs and the drag and drop interface, but it'll be renamed. And then there's ASCII utility, which is for you Worldcraft users. It's sort of like prefabs. So the ASCII utility was basically used. It's basically meshes that are saved and can be loaded. So like the main use of this is if you have, like, let's say use trees in a lot of your maps, instead of just making the tree or making the tree all the time or importing the tree, you just double click and drag it into the scene. So there's also, it also imports and exports models. Say we want to import this, we could import one, but we can also, oh, that's just a bug. We can also drag and drop stuff. So let's say there's dot object, I don't know. Let me go to the debug, which I'm just going to take a dot object from the Lightning Engine models. So let's say I took this object. I'm not sure if it's gonna load, but all I have to do is drag and drop it into object list, and it should load. Obviously, you can't see it because I don't have the camera set up, but basically loaded properly, and all we have to do is add asset to scene. No, add asset to utility. So we want to add, maybe we use an M9 in a lot of maps. We want to add it to, you know what? I'll use a better one. One that actually makes sense here. So let's go, I think there's a village, yep. So I'll just that was in Dropbox. Alright, so just gonna go to EnviroFlow, sorry about that. Just open it up. So now I'm gonna go to, oh yeah, and this also loads real time, so it loads when you start your map, so it's like permanent, so it's always gonna be there. It's not just one session, and I'll show you that. So you're just gonna drag and drop or import it. You can see again it's sort of messed up, sorry about that, but add asset utility, and you give it a name, so the name that's going to show up here, so I'm just going to name it, let's say village scene. Oh my god, sorry, I'm trying to scene, and then it automatically, you just choose which object it is. So in the object list it shows all the objects. Obviously there's only one right now, so you can choose it, hit OK, it shows up here, and it basically saves it over here. And I just need to make a minor change because I've encoded, I just have a little bug in my code, like I just have to change that basically. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, so then when you close it and you reopen it, it's still there, and then you could still load it. But yeah, that's basically it. What else there? Yeah, I basically went through all that. So feature plans, obviously add the object tab, so like you could create objects, rotate it, move, scale it, entities, create the entities, and then have entity properties to go with it. Environment. Whoa. There we go. Environment to go with the environment properties, and light to go with the light properties. I don't think there's really texture properties because we cover that in mesh. Like multi-texturing, maybe I'll add it, never know. And yeah, so also have, add asset to scene would be adding this to the scene, but I haven't worked out all the specs yet. It's so low buggy. I have Dropbox configuration actually, where basically I haven't got this dialog box working properly, but basically, let's cover it. Basically, you're just going to choose a path where your Dropbox is, where you want the folder for the project, and you could either sync all your data into that folder, or you could sync selective, which at that point you'd choose, like, say you only want to sync the compiled maps, maybe only the raw map data, maybe only the models and the scripts. Choose that, and you could choose if you want to sync it all every time, or if you just want to sync it all this one session. Hit OK. There's also configurations of game map folder again, game texture folder, and RMD folder. So basically what this can do is you give the directory of the map folder in your game, the texture folder in your game, and where you want to save your maps. So then when you just compile it, it automatically puts compiled maps in the game folder, so you could, when you run the game, instead of drag and drop or dragging the file, the compiled map, and then dropping it into, I don't know, the game folder is automatically there. Same thing with the textures. I might put one for models. RMD is just the raw map data file, so when you save like the scene, there's basically two types. The SMP is the compiled map, the RMD is just like the scene map. So for the map editor, choose type if it's an SMP or MMP, and then run map when done. So if you just want to test a map out when it's done, yeah, you could choose. I made it really flexible. That's what I really liked, because I wanted something flexible. Worldcraft, you don't really have any flexibility here. Just get rid of the left toolbar. Maybe you can move this around. Get rid of the bottom, or resize this one if that's what you like, and then just resize this, something like that. You could just bring it back, get rid of the render window, bring back the object window, and then like, yeah, but you could do a lot of things. I don't know, made it really flexible. Bam. Edit, copy, paste. Multi-edit, forgot to explain that. Multi-edit is basically if you're working with a group partner and your partner has access to the Dropbox folder, which will be located in the Dropbox configuration. Basically what would happen is, if you enable multi-edit, say like you're just not really mapping, but like, you know, you're making changes to a map, and your partner is making changes to map, every time they save that map, it's going to update what they did on your screen, and then every time you make changes and save it, it's going to update on their screen. So it's like you're both kind of editing it at the same time type idea. So I got that. That's about it for that. And so we're at the end of our thing. I'd like to thank all you guys, you know, for supporting me this entire way, staying with me, you know, being fans. Stay tuned, because there's more, and always remember we're working hard. Oh, wait a minute, did I forget something? Oh yeah, I don't know if any of you knows this, but I have folders called Linux GD, Mac GD, and Windows GD. And if you already didn't figure this out, that just means we're going cross-platform. So the game will be running on all three operating systems. I'm currently, I don't know if you could hear my laptop fan, currently working on the Linux framework. Then I'm going to work on the Mac framework. I don't have anything there, but just getting to know Linux programming. I have a bit of experience, but I'm just trying to make a framework that I can use on Windows, Mac, and Linux, because right now I'm using Win32, and obviously Win32 is only for Windows, not Linux. But yeah, just wanted to surprise you guys with our cross-platform and hope it attracts more, new players, new fans. So you guys could be excited about that too. So yeah, we got a lot of work, but I mean, this game's gonna be awesome when it comes out. So I'd just like to thank you guys once again. The Sniper's 227, and I'm out.